Okay, so Siobhan. Oh, wait, we have one question. I'm sure Siobhan will ask this, but Siobhan, I'm taking the lead on the question of the night for you and me every month. Who is going first? Joel, Roberto? Do
I'll
either of
go
you
first.
guys have a strong preference?
No, I
I'd
don't
love
have
to
a
go
preference.
first.
Okay.
I always
Roberto's young.
go.
Roberto's younger than me. He can stay up later.
Yeah. I'll let Joel. I'll give it to him.
I always go alphabetically by first name. So it does work out also that the younger one can take the late shift, as it were.
Perfecto.
I have also, you will see, my dear voice actors, that I have limited your access to unmute yourselves. This is not because we don't love you and your voices, but we wish to resist the cacophony that comes from Zoom entry with loud microphones, etc. So I'm going through to see if any of you got through the room without being I'm just muting y'all right now for the ease of our experience. Joel and Roberto, I have made you Zoom hosts so that you have the privilege and pleasure of muting and unmuting yourself as you go, and also to share your screen should you choose to do so in that way. But it is 6:02, so I guess we can begin to kick this off. So, hi everyone. Sorry I was late. I have had quite the time. I just came back from a performance festival in Arizona yesterday, and I am like still all over the place. So sometimes when you didn't do your makeup, you just do another look, you know? That's so I'm your Zoom host for this session tonight. And the way this is gonna work is that oh, Geddes, what's up? It's been a minute. Hey, my dude. How you doing? Okay, so the way this is gonna work, if this is your first time, is that we will communicate via the chat, which is to your Zoom right. Hopefully, if you're on a desktop, when you're on a phone, it's like a pop-up. So good luck with that. We're gonna just go through our two voice actors. We're gonna give them time to share their space. We're gonna take questions. We're gonna go to the next one. It's very chill like that. We are not here to give you extreme expert specific advice on your space. We are here to learn about the spaces of our talent tonight. Our talent tonight, we're not claiming that their space is totally perfect. They're not here to be impressive. They're not here to receive criticism from you. They are here for you to receive inspiration from them. And that is how this is gonna work. And what else? If you want to save the chat after the session, you will do so by clicking the ellipses at the bottom of your chat box, which, by the way, let's get the chat going. Can I get some hellos? Can I get some like, oh my gosh, it's the new year. What are your, resolutions are kind of hard. My resolution is just like to recognize how great I am. I think everybody else, that's what I'm gonna, I'm like, I'm not gonna like try to change myself this time. I'm just gonna be like, I'm awesome. So thank you, Michelle. Yeah, so let me know if you have any intentions in the chat to start us off. And we've already been chatting in this space before I came in, but we do have, let me just see how our participants are going, if everybody's in. Okay, great. Hello. David Goldberg, how are you doing tonight? And do you have a New Year's resolution?
I am super well, and I don't have New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me.
I never have. I feel like if you have something that you need to make as a resolution, you should start it whenever it comes to your mind. Like why? I feel like putting off the things you want to do until the new year is just procrastination. So
Yeah.
I feel like, if it's December 30th, it's not the 31st yet or January 1st even, and I want to make a change, I don't know, may as well just start then. And so yeah, so I don't really or maybe every day should be a day of resolutions. How's that? It
Yeah.
doesn't really have to be on the new year.
Yeah, the event I was just at, it started on January 2nd, and I was like, well, if I had some crazy workout plan, that was not gonna happen. And you know what I mean? Like, cause like I thought it was. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym at the hotel. Like, no way. Like when I went to VO Atlanta with David, I was like, I'm gonna see the city at night. And like, no, you're not. You're at a conference. You're gonna be, you know? So it's true. It's like, well, then those things could start later on or whatever. And as voice actors, there's always things we can be adding to be working on. What's up, Terry? Hi, great to see you. Everybody is back. Dave
Yeah,
joined.
mine's is more of like a theme. Like last year was like kind of like practice being in the now more, like doing things like that. And then this year is more like specificity, try to
That's
be
so zen.
yeah.
Specificity. What do you mean by that?
Just being more specific and precise in like the actions or my choices that I'm doing or working in. I kind of like pick a bunch of things, but like now it's like, oh, just pick this one thing and focus on it, drill in even harder.
Cool. Okay. I love it. I love it. Joel, how about you?
No, not really. I'm kind of like David. I just feel like when I need to, well, I shouldn't say that. After 2.5 years, I've gone back to taking acting classes with my acting coach. I just decided it was time to go back. And after the first of the year seemed like a perfect time. So I'm also considering taking piano lessons. My daughter got a piano from her grandparents for Christmas. And I'm thinking for the most part, it's sitting here being not used. So yeah, I may start taking piano lessons.
I
Very
love
fun.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool.
Okay. We've got looking to drop the hammer and go for a bigger market in voiceover. I love that for you, Dave. That's awesome. James's resolution is to never make New Year's resolutions. Okay. Great. We are at a consensus here in this space. So, wonderful. I think I think we're prepared. I think it's 6:07. I think or 9:07 for my East Coasters, and everyone else, don't ask me to tell you what time it is. You found your way here.
Okay, so let's do it.
Cool. So with that, I am just going to, for your Zoom experience today, you might be watching this on a laptop. You have two options here. You can do in the top right corner, your view could be speaker or gallery. There's also this thing called immersive, and I really couldn't tell you what that does. I think that's more class oriented. Laptop, desktop, forgive me. And if you're on a phone, I'm probably the only person you can see right now. In general, I keep a gallery mode going for our Edge Studio events, but for the show and tell in particular, I'm going to be guiding your experience. This is being recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel, and in fact, the Edge Studio link on our website for the home studio show and tells is also where I believe Josh is keeping the gold mine of content that we've got here for you. So it is being recorded and will be recorded in speaker mode. So with that being said, and without further ado, I am going to bring to the stage Joel. And hello, and I'm gonna join you here with myself. All right. So yeah, Joel, let's get started. And before we take a look at your space, let's talk a little bit about you, and you can tell us who you are, how you got into voiceover. How did you end up to be in a place where you find yourself talking to me on a Tuesday night?
I loved listening to WLS out of Chicago when I was a kid. I loved Art Roberts. I loved Ron Riley. I still remember the disc jockeys' names, Dex Card. And I wanted to be a disc jockey almost from the get-go. My mother one year got me one of these little tape recorders that had like the 1.5-inch reels on them. So I used to make tapes and things. And after high school, I went in the Army. And just by happenstance, I became a briefing aide to the commanding general of the Army Security Agency, which meant we made tapes, we recorded all of the general sessions. We also showed view graphs, slides, movies. We were basically glorified AV dudes. And after that, I went back home, and my local radio station had an opening. And I applied, and I flunked my third-class endorsed license twice. And I finally got it and got into radio. And I've been in the business ever since, either as a disc jockey or a production manager. I was back in the mid 80s, I was continuity director for the two commercial radio stations at the University of Florida, WRUF AM and FM. Continuity director, you're basically responsible for getting the spots in the studio, writing them, producing them. I also taught students how to do that. And ended up here on the East Coast doing VOs. And I've had a home studio since 2001, but I'm also an actor. You can see me on shows such as Law and Order SVU, The Blacklist, The Endgame, various and sundry others. So I'm happy to say that I've had a more than 40-year career as talent.
Wow. All
So
right.
and I've Joel, I've seen you on TV many times, but my favorite Joel Haverly moment is one day at our studio, not when you were Joel. I should also say we've hired Joel many, many times over the years as a voice actor. He's really amazing. Uh,
Thank-
but my favorite Joel moment was one day we were listening to the radio at our studios. He wasn't there that day. And there was a commercial on, and it was Joel. That was followed by another commercial, which was Joel. And someone then happened to change the stations, went to another commercial. That was Joel. And I
those
remember, I think I emailed you that day saying, like, crap, man, you're doing really well. like, goodness gracious.
those were the days,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, yeah. I used to do. I'm not as busy as I used to be. I'll say that. I don't know if it's because the business has changed so much, or it's because I've kind of aged out of certain things. But man, I used to do, gosh, 20, 30, 40 spots a month. You know, I was always busy. I was always in working for you guys. You know, I don't know if you remember this, David, but I used to contact you when I lived in Virginia before I moved to New York. And I'd say, hey, think about me and blah, blah, blah. And then I got to New York and met you, and I found out you guys didn't do ISDN. So there was no way you could hire me from Virginia.
Yeah.
But yeah, you and I've had a long relationship. It's been a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when well, I don't know if everyone knows what ISDN is, but I remember those days of ISDN and the phone companies pulled it from New York City and then they brought it back for a little bit, then it went out again. It was kind of a weird time.
Yeah, I
Um,
had it for I had ISDN for from 2001 until 2016. And then when I got married and moved to Connecticut, and it just was too expensive. They had, because they didn't want to deal with it, they jacked up the rate. Well, I was in New York when I got it in 2008. It was like $50 a month to get a digital phone line, and then suddenly went to like 500 a month or something like that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so thank God Source Connect came along.
Yeah, no doubt. So I have never seen your studio. I'd love to see it.
I'm almost embarrassed at how simple it is. Okay. So let me take the phone off the whatever I had it on, the tripod. And let me stand here. Let's see if you can see it. Let me get over here.
And by the way, if your studio is that simple, this is terrific for people to see because
This
it
is okay.
shows that you can do really well in this industry and you don't need
Yeah.
a super crazy fancy studio.
No, let me show you what I got here. I've got I don't know if you can see it. It's a Mac M1 Mini that I bought in 2021. On top of that is a Blue Yeti microphone that I use when I'm doing Zoom sessions, when I'm actually on my desktop. My desktop is just a ViewSonic 22-inch monitor, nothing special. My speakers are Optimus from Radio Shack. I've had these for 23 years. And I was talking to some guy at what's the place out in Fort Wayne, Indiana, about
Sweetwater?
Sweetwater. And he goes, what kind of speakers do you have? And I've got these Optimus from Radio Shack, but they're great. They're obviously they're not going to fill a room, but as far as being close monitor speakers, they're wonderful. They're very heavy. They have a rear port. And yeah, I've been using them for 23 years. Maybe one day I'll change them, but I don't know. So yeah,
There's something, yeah, I'll say there's something to be said about knowing the sound of your speakers. And
Yeah.
sometimes the expression is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you are getting the sound that you need, this is true for anyone. If you're getting the sound that you need, and if you're sure that that is the sound that the clients want, yeah, there may be no need to change anything.
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in that. I'm not really a techie. So if something's working, I just let it go, and I'll change it if I feel, it needs to be changed. But change for change's sake, I'm not one of those kind of guys. So anyway, those are my speakers. Down here is my Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 4th generation, which I got like a couple of months ago. I had been using a 6i6, but it was 1st generation, I believe, and it just was, I don't know, it was time to change to something newer, something better. So that's that's that. And over here we have the magical whisper room. You can see it very well. So that's my whisper room. I have a Neumann TLM 103, which I've been using since 2001. I do have a Sennheiser 416, which actually would probably work better in the booth, but I just don't like it as much. I'm used after 20 some years of using a particular microphone, you get used to it. Again, you get used to its sound. So it's just much more, I don't know, it's just, I know if I sound good or not because of all the continuity that I have with it. My booth is, I have a rug on the floor. I have various and sundry pieces of acoustic tiles in here. I stick them everywhere. There's one in the corner down there. There's one in the ventilation port up there. I have a towel across my music stand. This booth is also on wheels. So I don't know if you're seeing any of this nonsense, but because it's on wheels, it's actually insulated from the floor. It's on rubber wheels. I can also move it around if I need be. So that's kind of my whole setup. It's really, really simple. I do have a Yamaha amplifier for because I don't have, these speakers aren't powered, so I have an amplifier, and then I have my printer right here, and that's kind of the whole deal. So that's my studio.
Tell us about your monitor. I see it mounted in your room, in your whisper room. That's a great.
Oh. Yeah, it's just an iPad. It's rare that, there it is. It's rare that I use, like for instance, say I'm doing a session and somebody wants to be on Zoom as well as being on Source Connect. I can do both of those things on my computer at the same time. And I realized in voiceover work, if they want to see me, they can, but they don't need to. So if they want to see me, I'll do the Zoom on the iPad and do the Source Connect on my computer. But if they don't really care if they see me or not, I do them both on the computer. And that way I'm dealing with less equipment. So that's kind of how that works.
So do you typically hit record at your DAW and then walk into the booth, close the door, and record?
Yep. Yeah, I record the session. I mean, I may, depending on how long the session is, I may come out and hit save just to know that I've got everything saved up to that point. But yeah, normally, like I did a session the other day that was an hour long, and I just recorded the whole thing. And that was a Source Connect session. Was it a Source Connect? It was IPDTL or IDTPL, whatever it's called.
IP.
Yeah, IPDTL. So I recorded that here because they wanted me to record a backup, and then I just sent them a WAV file when we were done. And yeah, that's what we did.
So if a client wants to hear playback, you just run out of the booth and play back?
I just go out of the booth, I crank the speakers, and yeah, they hear it. So that's probably something I need to deal with, but yeah, that's the way I do it. So I just come out, play the track, crank at the speakers, leave the door of the booth open, and they hear what I've done.
Tell us about, well, two things I'd like to hear about. And these have been coming up very regularly in home studio show and tell. Ventilation and the chair. Okay, tell us about your ventilation in that booth. I mean, you have ventilation ports. You've covered it with, or you've surrounded it by some.
I don't. When I bought this booth, it's funny because they're so friggin' expensive now. Like I said, I've had this for almost 23 years. And I think it cost me about $3,000 at the time. I kind of overbought. I got this wall with a window in it, which I really didn't need, but I thought, oh, an extra window, that'd be nice. And actually I like it because I can look through it and see what my computer's doing. I don't have to come out. I can see if the computer's running, that it's working, blah, blah, blah. As far as the ventilation goes, I've never used it. It makes too much noise. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have bought it. So the idea that you can have it on while you're working is nonsense. You can't. I love my whisper room, don't get me wrong, but the ventilation, unless they've improved it over 20 years, which they may have, it just doesn't work. And we have central air in our house. So usually I crank that up before a session, but when the session's going on, I turn that off. And to stay cool in the booth, just between takes, I open the door. It's that simple. Okay.
Yeah, and that can certainly work. I'm quite sure that the ventilation systems have been improved over the years.
Yeah.
And also, it's just how they're installed has a lot to do with this. If you have fan speed, And also, you're not using a direct microphone. So there's a reason if you went to your shotgun microphone, that could help isolate some of the fan noise,
Yeah,
if you
that's
need to.
possible.
But if it works, here we go with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
You're getting through, and you've gotten through it for 23 years. So,
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I've done some fairly long sessions, like, hour and a half, 2 hours. And this is an old house. This house was built in 1889. And it's pretty well insulated. It stays fairly cool. So it doesn't really get all that horrible in the booth, thank God.
yeah, that's great. And what about your chair? This really has come up quite a bit.
The
You need
chair,
do you
the
stay?
chair
Do you
that I'm
stand?
sitting
Do
in
you sit
now,
when you record?
I stand. Um, I have a, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see there we go. I have a stool, if I need to, like if I'm doing something really, really long-winded and I need to sit down. But basically I stand. I just find it gets me more animated. I can use my hands better and all that kind of thing. But no, basically I've always stood when I've worked.
And when you're in the booth to communicate with your clients, you're on headphones, right?
I'm on headphones.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if yeah, ISDN or not ISDN, but Source Connect or whatever. Yeah, they come through the headphones.
Okay. So tell us, what are some of the most impressive jobs you've done? Where would people have heard you?
Well, for 5 years, um, I was one of the voices for United Healthcare AARP, doing commercials for them from like when was it? It was like I want to say 2014 to 2019, something like that. It was a nutty job. I was so blessed. My agent at Stewart Talent sent me the audition. I auditioned and I got picked, and it ran for 5 years. I had 9 union spots running for 5 years. We bought this house because of that job. The reason I tell that story is because you don't have to get a lot of jobs to be successful. You can get one job, and it can make a difference in your life. And that was kind of like just right place, right time. My agent that I had, I went to a meet and greet. A lot of people hate pay to plays. I went to a pay to play. He liked me. He signed me. I got the job because of that, and it changed my life. It gave me a pension. I have a SAG pension because of that job. So that's the most important job that I've ever had. And it killed me when it ended. I knew it couldn't last forever, and it didn't. But it took a while to get over it suddenly because I was making money I never thought I would make. And suddenly it was over. But that's part of the business. So other than that, I did a job for you guys many years ago with Kevin, where we did a narration about the brain, and we recorded 6 hours a day for 5 days. And that was just that was a cluster. I mean, it was just like the fact that we never had to go back and do pickups was amazing to both of us because it was hard. We would record like from what we do, we'd record from I think 9 to noon, then we'd take an hour break, and we'd record from 1 to 4. And we did that for a whole week. And that was an amazing job. And that paid pretty well too. So anyway.
That's great. Does anyone have any questions for Joel? And Joel, it is great to see your studio. It's always good to see you. Really fun
Oh,
to see your
you.
place. Um, and I will mention very briefly, my personal experience with whisper rooms is that they can sound good if you treat them. I found
Yeah,
that
yeah,
whisper rooms generally don't, they usually aren't, they're just not optimal the way they come for, they're not optimal for voice
yeah.
actors.
No,
And so they
no,
take some treating, some acoustic treating. If
I
anyone
should
else out there has any thoughts on whisper rooms, I'd love to hear it. But
I should
that's
mention I have Auralux bass traps, 3 of them on opposing corners. So, and like I said, the port for the ventilation, I have an acoustic tile stuck up in there. I have all sorts of, I'm trying to break up the sound as much as I can. So while there are flat surfaces, they're pretty much all covered with something. Um, and I've worked with other like acoustical engineers and basically get, pretty good marks. Um, so, so yeah, you know, I've also worked in closets, which worked really well. But my suggestion would be if you're going to, regardless of what your space is, I would say hire an acoustic engineer and have them go over with you and just figure out, what works and what doesn't.
Can you do something for us? Can you bring your phone into the booth, close yourself in there so we can hear what it sounds like? Like when you
Yeah.
walked in, we hear the difference in ambience, but I'd like to hear that room with the door closed. Love the lights, by the way, too.
These are from Whisper Room.
Oh,
I got,
that's great.
I got these recently. I had been using a music stand light forever, and it kind of got in my way. So I got rid of that, and I got this, and it's got a remote, so you can turn it on and off, and you can change the colors, you can change the intensity. It's pretty crazy.
I assume
Anyways,
it's LED, yeah. Oh, of
yeah,
course it's LED. You change colors, yeah. So it
yeah.
doesn't generate heat, which is great.
There we go. Let's see what else we got going on here.
Yeah, you can really like color to the mood of the piece that you're recording.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in the booth. This is what it sounds like. I don't know what it sounds like on your end, but
It sounds very different than when you're out in your office, which is, I
yeah,
mean, makes sense.
it's pretty dead. You know, you're not you're not hearing like room tone like you are out there.
And the nice thing about a dead room is that while you're on an open-faced microphone, a larger, diaphragm microphone, you can move a bit more, right? It's a bit more forgiving in terms
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
acoustics, right? So if you're swaying an inch left or an inch right or any direction, we may not hear any difference. Whereas if you're on a shotgun or something like that, we may really start to hear that difference. So
Yeah, and I like to I like to be animated. My hands are always up in my face. I'm always, and I'm also, because I'm an actor, I will turn away, or do whatever. I'll see somebody over here and I'll actually look at them and that kind of thing. So yeah, I move around a little bit. And like I said, again, it's after 20 some years, you just get so used to something, and yeah, it just works for me.
yeah, that's terrific. I'm so happy for you. That's great. Sounds like it's been a wonderful career. It's been good for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's funny. It
and
was a few years ago after doing this for 40 years. It's like I realized, man, I've actually had a career as a talent, you know. Because I think, early on when you get started, you're just trying to get something going. And then after a while, you realize, oh, this is who I am. This is what I do. And, working in TV now, that has been just in fact, I'm on hold right now for a job for a TV show. Is it a TV show? Sometimes I don't know. I don't know if it's a TV show or a movie. I get confused. But yeah, it's been good.
that's great. I think it's so cool. And I'd love to hear from some other people out there who have used a piece of equipment for so long, to have the booth for 23 years, the your Radio Shack
Hmm.
Optimas, something like that, whatever they were called for 20 something
Optimist.
years. Optimas.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Anyone else out there with something that you've had that long? And by the way, Joel, the first piece of sort of real recording equipment I have was a mixer from Radio Shack. It was a brand was it Tandy? Does anyone
Tandy.
know?
Yep.
I have a Tandy and I still have a Tandy mixer. I don't save memorabilia, like almost nothing. But this is one thing I've saved over all these years. It's like a 4 slider little black Tandy mixer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, it's fun. We don't use it. I don't even know how to like plug that thing in anymore. But I still have it. But it's great that you're using these speakers for so long. Anyone out there? Let's see. Someone else had just asked about the lights. Siobhan, are there questions out here we should be answering?
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
wrote, someone wrote, if you have an Impala with the manly voice Vox box and the C suite, you can record with the AC on, but that's not cheap at all.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking about mixers, I have a Mackie mixer sitting here, which I used for years and years and years. But when I got the Focusrite, I just didn't need to use it anymore. So I figured, your chain is, I think, better the simpler it is. That's my take anyway.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
I don't know if I may try to sell it, but then again, I may just let it sit there for a while. So, I don't know, this old equipment, when it gets fairly old, that Mackie mixer is like 23 years old. I don't know really if you can get much from it, or much for it. So I might just let it sit there and collect dust for a while.
Yeah, I think we all have pieces of equipment like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably everyone does. Uh, cool. So, any last questions for Joel? Anyone?
Yeah, so Terry had asked, have you ever had to do any upkeep on your mic after having it for so long? Which is a great
No,
question.
nope. I mean, obviously, you don't blow into it. You make sure it doesn't fall on the ground, things like that. But no, in fact, I had two because when I first moved up here to Connecticut, when I first got married, I still had a studio at my apartment in Harlem. So I bought another one and I just couldn't get rid of it. I didn't want to get rid of it. I thought, oh, I'll keep it as a backup. And I realized after a number of years, I don't need it. I just, the Neumann's pretty much bulletproof. So I actually traded it with a guy who has a studio in Northern Connecticut. I got the 416 from him and I gave him my TLM 103. And he wrote me once and he goes, can we trade back? And I go, but I don't know. I don't use the 416. So maybe we'll trade back and I'll have two Neumanns for whatever reason. But no, it has required no maintenance at all.
Well, if you have two Neumanns, I see some guitars behind you or ukuleles. It's really nice to
Ukuleles?
yeah, really nice to record in stereo with if you get a matched pair, you could get the 103s matched, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a real nice thing.
Joel, what's the cosmic light in the back?
Oh, that's just it's just a light. It's just for mood lighting. I'm into mood lighting. So I
We're
like
big
to.
fans. The chat loves it. The chat loves to see it.
Oh, yeah. Regardless of your space, you should make it someplace that you really like being. That makes, I think, a huge difference in the work you do. If it's if it's a pain in the butt to be there, or if it's just kind of blah. I mean, this is just a bedroom. This is an extra bedroom we had, but it does overlook our side yard, and there's just a bunch of trees and plants out there. So in the summertime, it's really beautiful. But yeah, if you're into like weird lighting, get yourself some weird lights, get yourself some lava lamps or something and place them around your studio. It just makes it more fun to work there.
Get a vibe
Um,
going. Well, Joel, thanks for showing us your space. Thanks for
Oh,
creating a vibe. Yeah, I'm gonna switch this out. Thank you, Joel. It's
my
really
pleasure.
wonderful.
Now, can I ask a question? So much applause. Thank you. Thank you. No, stop, please. Don't stop.
Okay, so what's up, Roberto? How you
Yo, yo,
doing?
yo. I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm good. I like your space too. You got some art, bringing some
Yes. My little art
vibes.
wall, just
Yes.
whole piece
Okay.
back there. Yeah.
Okay.
I love collecting art. So yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. So will you, same thing, will you tell us a little bit about, who you are and how you came to be a voice actor that ultimately led you down to the path of being with us on a
Yeah,
Tuesday?
absolutely. My name is Roberto Jolliffe. Most people call me Berto. That's where you'll see like most of my tags, Berto the VO. My journey is kind of just like one that you don't know that you're heading on your whole life, and then it just kind of pops up in front of you. So I've always been like a class clown, like doing the voices in history class when they ask for characters, writing raps and songs in high school, doing talent shows and things of that nature. I interned at a radio station in college as a business major, so I wanted to learn the business of radio, so I had to take a marketing class, but I was able to do a morning show in El Paso, Texas. And I'm from Texas, so I grew up military brat, so grew up all around Texas, Fort Hood, Killeen, San Antonio, El Paso. And yeah, so taking that college class, I learned a lot about the morning show and what the production takes and how you have to do the remotes and go to all these different things. And when we did voiceover for them, it was just like, hey, intern, go do this thing. I didn't know it was a career path. So I was like, oh, I never knew about it. So fast forward, I think like 2018, I started like wanting to learn about like monologues because I was watching a lot of Netflix. I was like, man, how do I write a show? I need to like learn how to write scripts. So I started taking like monologue and like script classes and just doing like little basic improv And then that led into just different opportunities of just me learning more about the industry. We had a speaker come to our class on one of the nights we were like performing. And then he just said, "Hey, if you really want to be an actor, you got to go to Groundlings in LA." And I was like, okay. So 2019, that was the summer of 2018, I decided I'm going to go to LA in January of 2019 and go to Groundlings. So my aunt, she was in the industry. Well, she's a moderator, so she does moderation for like BET, VH1, Popeyes. So she helps them find, the people that stand behind the glass. She's the one that walks in the room and like, "Hey, how do you like this commercial? What is it feeling?" So she had a house out in LA. She always had it on the table, like, "Hey, if you ever come to LA, you got a spot to live." So I was like, I got 6 months. I could go out there. So let me go out there. And what afforded that is I work in tech. So I am a techie. I love like building, buying all types of tech. So yeah, you're gonna see here shortly why I said that. But yeah, I just love like trying new products and doing those things. So yeah, like that road led me down to just I booked like a Spurs commercial before I left LA. So it was a part of our class. They're like the Spurs came, they're looking for people. So I did a commercial there. But then I landed in LA and I started taking commercial classes. And then I started taking Groundlings, improv classes. I got into that circle there and just learned a lot about the industry from California and the differences from being in Texas, like the right to work state, and then the California rights and understanding the entertainment industry. And in one of those meetings, I met a guy. He was like, "Hey, man, I do voice acting. You should maybe look into that." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." So I took a mental note and I came back to Texas in June of 2019. And some of our friends, we had started a podcast. And then, yeah, we did like 50 episodes. Pandemic hit. Everybody stayed home. We didn't keep up with the podcast. But I had all the equipment. I started off with a Rode Pod mic and a Rodecaster Pro because the guy that started the podcast, he worked at a camera shop and he was like, "Hey, I can get 50% off all this equipment." So I was like, "Cool, let me get all that stuff. I'm gonna get this. Maybe when we start the podcast up." We didn't get back to the podcast, but at the end of 2020, I really kind of like that year, I had a New Year's resolution that year. It was hey, I'm gonna start voiceover next year. So I signed up for voices that December with that Rode Pod mic and that pod. I was like, and my son just happened to be born that year too. So my job was like, "Hey, you have 4 or 5 months off." So I was like, I never had time off. So I was like, well, I'm just going to just do voiceover auditions all day until April. And that's what I did. And kind of just out of the gate, I kind of got lucky. I don't know if it was right place, right timing. Of life meets preparation, but within that month or two, I started on voices. I booked Pop Tarts, so I became the voice for Pop Tarts for the past 3 years, and then just landed a kids TV show, and then just kind of built out from there. I didn't know what I was doing at all. People were like, "Hey, are you editing your auditions?" I was like, "No, I just like recorded it, 2 takes, 3 takes, sent it, and yeah, don't know what I was doing." The Pop Tart spot was like, "Hey, we're looking for a Pete Davidson, Tyler Creator type voice," and I just did my best or whatever, and like it was like my kind of like experience with that was like it took like 2 or 3 months because like every time we did an audition, they were like, "Hey, we got to do another audition." And I was like, "Okay," but they paid me every time, and I was like, "This is the craziest stuff. I don't know what's going on," but yeah, making a couple of grand, and then yeah, they booked me fully in April of that year, and I was like, okay. They're like, "Hey, where's do you have a studio?" I was like, "I have my mic," and I was just using my Rode Pod mic. And they put me in a studio in my city. They found where I live. Like I told them where I'm at. They're like, "We found you a studio. Show up here. You get paid to show up, and you get this other rate after theirs." And I was like, that just it sparked a fire in me, and that led me on. Like I was like, okay, this first year, maybe this is a thing, and I took that investment from that, and I just put that into building out my studio. I was like, if this is something serious, which it seems like it is, it was snowballing into more and more work. And yeah, I just kind of just reinvested everything. And like every time I've reinvested into myself, it just comes back. So I love the journey and I just keep going on this path and like it just opens up more opportunities and just building out my platform and just going from there. So yeah.
What are you recording right now in the past 6 months or so? Some interesting stuff.
Um Let me see. The past 6 months, I did like an internal spot for Nike. I did like Harry. It's a restaurant. It's like a employee platform. So I did a lot of their stuff for their McDonald's franchisees. Shoot, let me see. um, I did stuff for like Vivid Seats. let me see what else. There's stuff that's coming. Like recently I just booked for Paw Patrol. I don't know when those are coming out. I just recorded those like a week or so ago. So yeah, that'll probably I'll be on their new season. I'll be playing I don't they didn't have me sign an NDA, so I don't know, but it's gonna be out in the show this new season. Sam Stringer, I'll be playing, he was like the news reporter guy in the Paw Patrol movie. So I play him on the show this season 13
Very
coming up
cool.
here. So yeah.
I I just want to say that your story is incredible. And the first thing I want to say is like this man knows how to use like connections and let this be like a source of inspiration of like you got an auntie with a house in LA, you go stay at auntie's place. You got a friend who works at the shop, you'd be like, hey, my dude,
Yeah.
discount situation. I am super impressed by that. And then the other thing I want to just echo to our community is like the feeling will never fully, I mean, okay, yes, I do think there are people in this room who are like, I know exactly what I'm doing and I've been doing it for a long time and I'm really good. And like word that does come with experience, I think.
Yeah.
But like the feeling that like I'm not really ready, I need to get this and this and this before I do this. I just feel like you are such a good example of like plug your mic in with your USB and like start recording and like
Yeah.
I
I
hope
think
you
a
were
lot of that
also
is like,
parenting a child during the time off.
yeah. I think a lot of it's like lack of like what they say when you have ignorance and your lack of knowledge, it helps you because like sometimes I've heard scientists say this like why they tested certain theories or hypotheses is like they didn't know there was no standard, so they just like did what they wanted to do and like it worked out for them. So I just did what I felt like I needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we can be of two minds where it's like you want to, there's a reason we want the perfect studio. We want to like get the money to have everything built out and then we're ready to send in auditions. But your story is very empowering. Just like get out there and the worst case scenario is that you just have experience with
Yeah,
auditions.
I think that's the best way to go is just to go with ill intentions and just like, hey, try it. And like, I would rather live life knowing that I tried and less looking back and like, dang, what if I did do that one day? And that's how I literally I met David and team. Like, there was a girl I met at Sovas and she needed to record and she booked a spot. Like, I usually carry a travel rig with me. And she was like, hey, I saw you had a travel rig in your story. And then she posted the week after we left Sovas and said she booked that spot. She recorded like one line, took 10 minutes. And I saw she tagged Edge and I was like, hey, let me just reach out. It's another connection opportunity to see. And yeah, that's how I kind of ended up here. Her name is Jade.
Wow. Awesome. No, all of it is amazing. Okay, so wonderful story. Thank you for this backstory. Thanks for empowering us with your journey here. Now I'm gonna leave this space and I'm just gonna, do you need a second? You know how to share a screen or what you gonna do?
I'm gonna transfer to my phone. Sorry.
Word. No, no, that's okay. So you're gonna be muted on your phone. Um, yeah. Oh, you're
Yeah,
gonna
I think he's muting his desktop and
okay.
going to his phone. So, Siobhan, can you turn on his phone?
I'm on. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you the video. And once you do that, it's going to um okay.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're echoey.
How about now?
That's
That's
good.
Okay.
okay.
So yeah, I'll turn my camera around so you can see. This is the Studio Bricks VO Edition Studio. So this is what I have. Pick a Rick fan. So yeah, Rick and Morty. So boop.
Do you
Okay.
mind stepping back just a little bit so we can kind of like see it from the outside, like as you're walking in, just to get
Okay.
like a slower glimpse of this? It's pretty cool. Now you sent me a photo of your studio. Like,
Yes, sir.
yeah, it was so cool. It gave perspective. I want everyone to see that.
Yeah, and I will show you the outside too of kind of like just different recording that I'm trying to set up as well. But I just have the basic stuff. So like I'm still learning like bass traps and all that stuff. So I'm always open for more information. This is kind of my setup here. Um, this is what I started off with, a Rodecaster Pro. this is I like Joel said, like there's something about this that I booked and I have an affinity for it and I can't let it go. It's something I still record on to this day and I still book with it. I do have a Apollo twin. So because some of my agents like when I book on like the Sennheiser 416 or like this different settings. Let me see here. I have this as some of my cans on the Sennheiser HD 280 Pros. I also have the Neumann studio headphones, NDH20s that lead up to this setup right here.
Why
That's
two
just like
different pairs? Wait, hang on. Why two different pairs?
one leads into the Roadcaster and one goes into the Apollo, so I don't have to switch. I just don't
Okay.
like switching, like just less work. Have like just a little 4K camera by Logitech, so I could have like good Zoom sessions, things of that nature. This is a Neumann U87 right here, and that plugs into the Roadcaster. This 416 plugs into this Apollo twin right here. So that's just like my setup for there. And just like a regular light. And this is all run on like a Mac Mini. And like he said, the air ventilation is cool. I like that light he has. I might have to order that, but yeah. I turn off the ventilation myself because like in my head, I was like something that's playing back in my head. I'm like, I don't know.
Hey,
If
go,
this
wait. This is great. If you don't mind, I'd like to go back. Tell us when you, first of all, why'd you go with the U87? I mean, they're beautiful microphones, obviously. What led you to the 87? And when do you switch between that and the 416?
So the U80, so I started originally on the 416. So, or not originally. After my first year, I was able to save up enough. Like I got my studio bricks September of 2021, and then I got the Neumann or the 416 by the end of that year as well. Because that's what I just seen learning through the communities and on YouTube. I was like, hey, this is a voiceover mic. And then the Neumann was kind of just like a dream mic. I had got the TLM 103, but I didn't like how it sounded. Like, I don't know what it was, but it just didn't sound good to me. But then I tried the U87 and it was just one of those like where I booked a job and I was like, well, I got it. And I'm afforded this too. Also, that I do have a good paying tech job and I make decent money in voiceover. So I reinvest in all of that. So the jobs I'm able to get from voiceover, I'm able to just reinvest back into the studio and back into those things. I also want to take y'all outside the booth a little bit. So this is like, I have a vocal booth to go. This has everything in here. Like when I travel, like a little pop-up rig. So you unzip it, you can place it on the hotel desk. I usually check this in. It's already ready. So like whenever I travel, you just unzip this whole thing, lay it on a desk, and it gives like some insulated sound. I do have most of those plugins, like the Apollo plugins, like CVox, the Manly, the everything basically. Whatever is needed in voiceover that they said I need to be successful, I got it for the most part.
When
This
you
is
travel, which mic do you take? Just the
this
416?
one. No, I have a different travel mic. So this is what I take to travel. This is what I usually carry in my backpack just in case I need to do an audition. So I have like a portable rig. I carry this Apollo Solo. This Rode setup, and this is a Sennheiser MKH 8060. And that's really what you should like what one of my mentors said is probably best for maybe in a booth, but I just got it because it's smaller and it fits in this little tube right here.
Okay. So, what happens if you record a spot on the road and then someone wants to pick up? What would you do at that point? Swap mics into the booth? And in
Um,
fact, I'll ask the question in the reverse also. If you record something in your booth, let's say on the U87, and then you're traveling, and you need to do a pickup, what happens?
I try to just recreate the sounds of like with the plugins as best I can. If not, I just direct with them. Like even for like the Nike spot, I recorded it on the 416, but I did the session with the U87 and they didn't say anything.
No, that's surprising. That's great. Okay.
Yeah. So and then I'm trying to build.
That's a really different sound.
Yeah.
Those two.
I haven't heard anything. Like I don't know. Nobody said nothing to me. But yeah, when I'm on the road and on the go, I let them know. Like when I submit an audition, like, hey, this is recorded with my portable rig. So it might be different if we do go into my studio, but I could get as close to match. Or you'll hear a different sound when I go into my home studio.
Okay. Where do you like to edit?
So that's the thing, I've transitioned. That's why I'm building this here. So I just got these for Christmas, these Focal Shape 65s. I want to build a whole room studio eventually. So this is not like the final setup. I just placed them on these stands I just got over the weekend. These are like the ultimate support stands. But yeah, I used to edit religiously in the booth, and then I've gotten more and more outside the booth, just transferring my files to my laptop and things of that nature, just so I could be more comfortable and not stuck in the booth, and freedom just to kind of sit with the fam or sit in my own comfort areas. I also have like I have like I'm a techie, so I like learning and analyzing. These are just different. The DT 770 Pros. I sometimes stream sometimes. So like I have the Rodecaster Pro 2. I had a camera up here, it's in my room somewhere, but I have a whole setup. Like this is the original Rode mic that I recorded on. So I still have that for like this whole setup here for my kids. Well, I bought this for myself, but they play Minecraft and Roblox on here a lot. But yeah, this whole setup is for recording or trying different character voices on like role playing on like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption or any games with my friends. And I just have like a whole suite of just yeah, Focusrite. I just collect. I love tech, so yeah, I can't help it. If I see it, I want it, I'll probably get it. But yeah.
So what above your other setup out there, is that a little cloud thing?
Yes, it's an LED cloud I got for Christmas.
Oh,
I really don't want for much, so like I'm like, yeah, I just want some little cloud. So it's a LED, it changes colors and stuff like that.
very cool. Can you do playback from your booth for clients?
That's one I don't do. I haven't like you had brought, I heard you bring that up, and yeah, that's one I have not done.
Have you had clients ask for it or
They
they don't
have,
even?
but I just I could jump back on this, or unless y'all are done.
Well, yeah, before you go back, let's ask if people have any questions.
Okay.
There is one that says, how much was the Studio Bricks setup, out of interest?
Like just the booth. The booth was like 10K. Yeah, it was a little over 10K.
Is that a single, double, or triple?
It's just I think the single, like just enough space to move around. Let me see. It was a Studio Bricks VO edition, so just enough to kind of move around there. I'll try to give perspective.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so as
I'm
we've
like
continued
6'2".
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm 6'2" and like 270, so yeah, I'm a big guy.
And so no issues with like you said, you don't run ventilation in there because you're concerned about the sound. Have you tried it even with the 416?
It's just one of those things like where you have a habit, and I'm afraid to break the habit and try it on a client and they don't like it, and I'm like, yeah. Because I've had sessions in there like recording like cartoons. I'm just like, I'll just sweat my ass off, or sorry, sweat in there, or like I'll just suck it up and just like, well, it's an hour, and yeah, that's it.
Roberto, did you have an audio engineer tune your Apollo and help you set up your booth?
My mentor here, there's a guy locally, his name's Jorge Infante. He does like Spanish, Mexican American voiceover. He's been kind of doing it for 30 years. So when I booked Pop Tarts, I looked at their list of engineers, and I saw he was an engineer there and he did voiceover. So I just reached out to him, and he's one of my first mentors to just teach him. He's came to my house and like helped me set up my settings, like EQ and stuff, when I record either through, because the Rodecaster, you just record directly into that and I export, but like when I record through the Apollo and the 416, I'm recording into either Audacity or a Twisted Wave. And yeah.
Okay, so folks are asking if you to clarify what playback from the booth for clients means. And either David or Roberto can take that.
Oh yeah, I don't like when they say that. I'm just transparent with them. I don't do because if I'm recording on the Roadcaster, I don't play back unless I'm recording through Audacity through that other 416. I'll do it, but like most of the time, I'm just recording through that Roadcaster, and yeah, they don't really. I was like, hey, yeah, I just can't do it. But I'll send them the whole file, and they could like listen to their remarks or comments.
Cool. Cool. Are you in a, oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Are you a
Transition
homeowner?
back to this camera here, or
Oh, sure. You want to go back to the real,
yeah, if we're done looking at the studio, I could probably.
Absolutely. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add this spotlight and then.
And while we're here, Joel, if you're still out there, what are you recording on? What system? If you
Okay, I'm back.
said, I don't know if you said. Joel, are you on Pro Tools or?
I actually just got Pro Tools Intro. Back when I actually was an audio engineer, I used Pro Tools, but I kind of got away from it. I actually, for the most part, have been using GarageBand because I'm not producing anything. I'm just recording my voice. But I don't know if you know Frank Verderosa.
Sure.
He has a class coming up later this month on using Pro Tools Intro, and it's free, so why not get it?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm taking that class with him. I've actually been online looking at videos of people using it, so I've kind of picked up and kind of remembered from using it many years ago. But that's probably where I'm going to be going. But I'll probably still use GarageBand because for a simple voiceover, it works great.
Yeah, that's the thing I tell people too. Like, I'm just a person that likes tech and I'll buy whatever. So, like, after I've learned, I'm like, oh, you really just need a basic. Like, I don't need Pro Tools or Logic. I don't need any of that. Even though I might have it, I don't need it.
I
I
mean,
do have source.
quite often you talk to like a guy who basically his job is to like engineer sound. He'll tell you you don't need really much.
Yeah,
And I kind of take that to heart, because I'm not a techie, it doesn't come easy to me. So if it's simple and it sounds great, I'm happy.
yeah, that's something I learned after. Like, I'm like, oh, you don't really need. Like, I just tell people when they're getting in, like, just use what you have or your budget. I just like it and I just buy it because I want to, and I like love looking at tech. So yeah, like just I literally just that Roadcaster. I record into that, export that out, and I've used Isotope RX9 or 10 or whatever, and I just process through there, do a little light vocal chain, edit, and send off, and that's about it.
Oh, if you're using RX10, like their match feature, that can help you sort of record on the road with your portable gig and better match that to whatever you've done in your booth.
Yeah, thanks for teaching me. I don't know what that is, but I'll look into it.
Oh yeah, check out
I
check
just
out the
do a
match
light vocal
feature.
chain,
Yeah.
and that's it, like a little EQ compression, and like I just edit and then go from there.
Okay.
Last question before we get out of here, is if you, I think this is actually interesting, for Roberto, do you, own your home or are you renting where you've got all this?
I own this house, so yeah, I just have a space. It was in the downstairs room. We had like an extra room, and my daughter took that over as she got older. So we just moved this up. This is in the loft area. So eventually, I would like. That's why I got these podcast. I really want to have like a home studio built like with the sound like gig acoustic and stuff like that. And just grow from there. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Cool. All right. Thank you for answering that question. I do want to respect the time of both of y'all and everybody else. So real quick before I release this sesh, look, if you're like, oh my gosh, this is inspiring me to get more stuff done in voiceover and my home studio, as it were, I do encourage you to check out our class schedule here at Edge. We have all kinds of things. I mean, these dudes have both talked a lot about taking classes as an important means of bettering their skills and talents as voice actors. Also, we offer private consults, which I cannot encourage enough. Classes are great to get a sense of things, but I personally, I'm someone who needs a lot of one-on-one attention. If high maintenance, you might say. But our Art Bruder does not mind high maintenance people, and he offers our home studio consultations. He'll meet with you, he'll hang out in your space virtually, and you'll get to have that specific kind of talk about what's going on with you, which is the best way in this new year to build out your space. Finally, in order to catch up on all of our things regarding Home Studio Show and Tell, this video will be here on this link I've just dropped into the chat. Our Home Studio Show and Tell home base, as it were, on Edge's website. You can save this chat by clicking the ellipses at the bottom of it. It's the top option, it says Save Chat, right there for you. And otherwise, you can find us at Edge Studios site or, of course, on our YouTube channel. I do want to take this moment to give lots and lots of gratitude to our talent tonight. Thank you so much, Joel and Roberto, for being with us and making this a very special start to the new year with both of your beautiful vibes. We got LEDs abound. I think it's all encouraging. You know, just have a good, gotta get those clouds.
Hey, you gotta set the tone for your energy when you
That's
get in the
right. You got to
booth.
set the tone.
It's really good, really inspirational experience for the energy. Last words from our Chief Edge Officer, David.
Uh, nothing out of the ordinary. I thank all of you for tuning in. Siobhan, you rock. Joel, it's amazing that we've known each other so long. It's great.
Yeah. It's great.
Roberto, it's great to really get to know you and see both of your studios. I love this stuff. It's really fun. It's
No, thank you all for the
super fun.
opportunity. This was super cool. I appreciate it. And yeah, salute to you legends out there. Man, y'all are teaching me a lot just listening to your stories as well. I appreciate it.
Roberto, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well, Joel.
All right, I'm about to get a toothache from all the sweetness in here. So y'all, have a great rest of your evening and a blessed start to the new year. And we will be back. I'm gonna just quote myself here and hope I'm correct. I believe on February 6th would be our next one. And until then, my voice actors, have a great night.
Peace.
Thank you.
Bye,
Good night.
everyone. Thank you.